I'm here in the kitchen, so I think you know that means it's Food Label Friday. I'm actually here right in front of my favorite air fryers. I have two, long story. But I usually use the air fryer to cook a lot of my plant-based proteins. So if you don't have one, I recommend getting one. It's a great way to cook food without adding any extra oils to it and keeping everything super lean. All right, so today we are going to be looking at the No Evil Italian sausage. So this says on the front that it is a plant-based Italian sausage links, 25 grams of protein. It's called, the Italian Stallion, like Rocky Balboa,
Hi, my name is Rocky Balboa, the Italian Stallion.
It's like, Adrian, you might want to, be vegan and stuff like that. I'm saying I don't know nothing about eating animals, not eating animals. I mean, I was just punching meat, but I would like you to try the sausage too. All right, y'all, enough joking around. We are going to go to the back to see what's the real deal about this Italian Stallion. All right, I promise I'll stop. All right, we're going to look at the back of the label. Let's get out the reading glasses for the old eyes among us. And let's see what's really in these plant-based sausage links. All right, if you're still here after my horrible Sylvester Stallone accent, I commend you. We are on the No Evil Foods website. So I'm going to look at first the description like I always do, and then we're going to dive into the ingredients. And one thing that I'm looking for is this is a lean source of protein. Now for animal-based protein, the way that we define lean is generally if it has about 20% or less of its total calories coming from fat. So we can use a similar metric when we're looking at plant-based proteins as well. So let's start with the marketing. First of all, No Evil Foods, right? You got to love that. They're basically saying we're not committing any harm, any evil actions and creating our brand. So I kind of love that. All right, so let's look at the product, the Stallion. I'm not going to do the accent again, I promise. The Stallion Italian sausage. And I like how they put sausage in quotes. Not double quotes, but a single quote. Don't know grammatically what that's about. But either way, they're letting you know if you are expecting a disgusting, fat-filled, cholesterol-filled, poison-filled pork, sausage, or other meats that, nope, there's something up here. It's a sausage. I've never seen anyone do that. It looks like devil horns. Usually people do double quote. Anyway, it's the Italian sausage. Now, on the front of the package, it says it has 25 grams of protein, no protein isolates, which if you watched Food Label Friday last week when I did a breakdown of the daring plant chicken, then you know I did a breakdown of what is an isolate versus a concentrate. So you'll know about that. If you didn't, go back and watch that video. It'll give you a breakdown of what is a protein isolate. It's saying it's low fat, which we will be the judge of because I already gave you my metric. And it also says it's a good source of fiber. So it describes them as plant-based Italian sausage links. It says it's certified plant-based. And then it also says it's certified plastic negative product. So I do not have my reading glasses anymore, but that is really small. Anyway, trust me, that's what it says. So let's look at the description. Hook up with the Stallion. All right, why do these brands always make their food sound like dates? Like hook up? Okay. Hook up with the Stallion. I'm not going to do the accent, I promise. Bursting with the barrage of old world spices. That took a turn. All right. Old world. That's not the adjective I would expect with hookup. Anyway, this sausage is racy and ready to go. Okay, if you say so. In pasta, on pizza, or in a hoagie, our Italian-inspired charmer makes any dish a total knockout. Did ChatGPT write this description? Because this sounds kind of weird. Like, no humans talk like this. Anyway, basically, they're telling you what you could do with it. You could put it in pasta, you could put it on a pizza, or in a hoagie, which I've never had, like, a sausage hoagie. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe that's the thing people do. But yeah, it's a knockout because I guess they really are pushing this like Italian Stallion like example parallel thing. Anyway, I think we get the idea. It's an Italian flavored sausage. So let's look a little bit closer here.
It also says it has simple AF ingredients. All right. So I guess they're trying to say it's a clean product. And their little mascot here looks like there's a sausage on a moped or a bike wearing sunglasses. And he's got on some high tops. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know what's happening there. But anyway, we see the picture here, which is helpful because you can actually see a pasta dish with the sausage sort of chopped up into pieces. So awesome. Let's actually take a look at what's in these I'm not doing it. The Italian Stallion sausage. So I'm going to go to the ingredients and then the nutrition facts. So it says just heat and eat. So they kind of, again, are showing you how it's prepared, which I always like because I think a lot of times when you're trying something new, especially if you're new to eating plant-based or vegan foods, and you might be like, what is that? Like you expect everything to look like a block of tofu. So I actually really do appreciate that they show you what the product looks like so you have an idea of what to expect. So let's see if we can get the ingredients. I see the nutrition facts here, and it tells me how simple the ingredients are, but I still don't see the list. Oh, here they are. All right, so they start off by letting you know the ingredients are recognizable. Okay. Plant meat. So Daring called theirs plant chicken. The last video I did, this one is plant meat, which again sounds weird to me because I don't understand. It's like it's not meat. But okay. For this particular product, for the Stallion, the first ingredient is water. That tracks. Vital wheat gluten is the second ingredient. So wheat gluten is just the protein part of the wheat germ. So that is where primarily the protein is coming from in this product. So even though it's saying that, tomatoes, kidney beans, and chickpeas are ingredients you can pronounce, the high protein density is clearly coming from the wheat in this particular product. So water, vital wheat gluten. So you can also look at this as a form of seitan or seitan, however you want to pronounce it, because basically that's what it is. That's the base of this. It's a wheat-based or wheat gluten-based protein. The second ingredient, I'm sorry, third, because water still counts, kidney beans, chickpea flour, soy sauce, which consists of water, soybeans, wheat, and salt, nutritional yeast, salt, spices, garlic powder, and smoked paprika. So I think that it checks out, right? These are ingredients that we can largely pronounce. Spices is a bit vague. Again, I think that's just them hiding their secret sauce. Nothing probably out of the ordinary. If I had to guess, it's Italian. There's probably some basil, some thyme, some things like that, some oregano. We know what Italian seasoning is. But they are calling out that there's garlic powder and smoked paprika. Now, the other thing that I will mention about this chickpea flour, so that is going to provide some additional protein, but not that much, right? So again, the primary driver here for the protein is going to be the vital wheat gluten. The chickpea flour also, it's important to understand that it's not the whole chickpeas. Chickpea flour is basically dried and ground, dare I say, processed form of chickpeas, but it's basically just ground into a flour so that it can be used for a different texture. And then the other thing that is boosting the protein a little bit is nutritional yeast. So that's basically a form of it's not yeast like you use for bread. First of all, let me just clear that up. So nutritional yeast is not active dry yeast that you use in baking bread, but it does have some nutritional components. That's why it's called nutritional yeast, as the name suggests. Generally, it's like fortified with B12, but it also does add some protein. A lot of times, it's used in place of Parmesan cheese. So if you like to sprinkle that on top of a pasta or a salad, nutritional yeast is a great substitute if you were a Parmesan cheese junkie, like I will admit I was back in the day. I used to go to Olive Garden. I hate to admit that. I know. Not real Italian food. And you know how they would come over with the cheese grater? Or maybe I'm thinking of a real Italian restaurant. I don't know. But they would ask you when to stop. And I'd just be like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And they're like, do you want any pasta with your cheese? Okay. So nutritional yeast is not going to give you that same exact experience as Parmesan cheese, and rightfully so, because Parmesan cheese is full of fat and a lot of other things that we really don't need. But nutritional yeast is great if you just like to have something to sprinkle, more of like the grated cheese, not the fresh grated, but like the one that you see in the store, like the Kraft version that's like just looks like powder. nutritional yeast is kind of a substitute for that. So if you're in the habit of sprinkling something on top of your pasta, try to get some nutritional yeast. It'll also add some protein. All right, I think that they're simple AF ingredients that pans out. So now let's look at the nutrition facts. Let's see, is this something that we want to consider? And keep in mind what I said, we're looking for 20% or less of the calories to be coming from fat. All right, so first, there's 4 servings per container, and the serving size is 1 link or 1 sausage, which is great. You get 4 in a pack, and it's a sensible portion. It's not like an eighth of a sausage or something like that. So I appreciate their straightforward portion sizes. All right, so there's 160 calories per link. And it's saying that there's 770 milligrams of sodium. So I'm calling that out first just because it does seem to be a little bit on the higher side. And again, if you're someone who's watching your sodium intake, be mindful. I'm not saying you don't have this at all, but just be mindful. If you're going to have this, it's going to contribute a lot to your sodium for the day. So now that that's out the way, let's look at the fat content. All right, so there's 2 grams of fat. And I talked about 20% of the calories coming from fat, 20% or less for it to be considered lean. All right, so I pulled out the calculator because we're going to have to do some math to figure this out because they don't make it so easy to figure out on the food labels. So if we are looking at 20% of the calories coming from fat for us to consider this lean or low fat as is claimed on the label, then we need to look at the total calories per serving first and then the fat per serving. So if we have 160 calories per serving, then we want times 0.2 for 20%. We want 32 calories or less to be coming from fat. Now, this doesn't, on this particular label, tell us how many calories come from fat. I think some labels do have that. I think maybe Canadian labels, I'm not sure. But here in the US, it's not required, so it's not here. So how do we figure this out, right? How do I figure out if this is really lean? Okay, so I know 2 grams of fat seems low, but again, we need to look at that compared to the serving size. So the serving size is only 160 calories. So we're looking for 32 calories to be coming from fat, but we only know the grams. So how do we figure out this mystery? So every gram of fat is worth 9 calories. So if we multiply 9 times 2, which should be easy math for us, I don't need a calculator for that. All right. 9 times 2, so 9 calories per gram times 2 grams of fat, we get what? 18. So that means that 18 of the calories out of this 160 calories is coming from fat, which is less than 32. Again, if you're keeping up with basic math. So, ding, 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 ding. It meets the criteria for lean, right? So that low fat claim on the label checks out, but this is how we would figure it out. Now, it's important to note that this is only relative to the amount of calories per serving. Let's say that a serving of these plant sausage links was actually 80 calories instead of 160 calories. So if I take that 80 calories, we're going to do that math, multiply it by 0.2 for 20%, then I'd get 16 calories. So 16 calories coming from fat would be about what would make it considered lean. In this case, if we had 80 calories and 2 grams of fat, we couldn't consider it necessarily low fat because we already know that that 18 calories is over that 16 calorie threshold for that 20% or less. So again, we'll close the calculator now. Enough math for today. Whew, enough math for a Friday, I tell you that. But this is one of the reasons why it's important to look at the label to understand what you're looking at, because just because something looks good or looks like, oh, that's healthy or that's low fat, because that's what it said on the front of the package, we want to make sure that the back of the package bears that out. In this case, it absolutely does. The back of the package says 2 grams of fat per serving, 160 calories, so that's definitely considered low fat. So bravo to No Evil Foods for that. Now, it has 9 grams of carbohydrates, and which is pretty low, I would say, pretty decent. And that's probably coming from, again, if we look at the ingredients, the kidney beans, the chickpea flour, that's going to be where your carbohydrates are coming from. 3 grams of that is fiber. So again, that's coming from the beans and the chickpea flour, most likely. It's where the fiber is. And then it has 2 grams of sugar, but it says 0 grams of added sugar. So this is another important point. The difference between sugar, and added sugar. Sugar is what's naturally occurring in the food itself. Added sugar is if, again, they were to throw in, some cane sugar or, maple syrup or date paste or something like that, because all that's just sugar, right? It's just different words for sugar. So because they haven't added any additional sugar than what's naturally occurring in the foods, then it's saying 0 added sugar, even though there's 2 grams of sugar in these links. Now you might go, well, where's the 2 grams of sugar coming from? In this case, that sugar, those 2 grams of sugar is actually coming from, surprisingly, the kidney beans and the chickpea flour. So there is a small amount of what would be considered sugar. So there's starches, right? Starches break down into sugars, but it's really a small amount. So that is naturally occurring in the kidney bean and chickpea. So who knew? But again, it's not added sugar. So just because you see that there's sugar on a label, don't automatically assume that it's bad, unless of course if it's like added sugar. Even some fruits that are higher in sugar, we don't want to see that super high. Like if I see 40 grams of sugar, I'd kind of stay away from it, even if it is all from like a pineapple, because it's just a lot of sugar without having other nutrients with it, like fiber and things like that. So anyway, just kind of wanted to point that out. Added sugar is really what you're looking for. The sugar that's listed above that are naturally occurring sugars. In this case, they're coming from the beans that are in these links. So the big thing, right, is the protein. That's always what we're looking for here. Like everyone wants to know, where do you get your protein? Each one of these sausage links has 25 grams of protein, which is, to me, pretty awesome for only 160 calories. If you have 2 of these, that's 50 grams of protein. You could easily throw this in some red lentil pasta or some edamame pasta or black bean spaghetti. If you just have like a half of these with that, you're easily going to get 40 grams of protein in a meal. So it just really depends on the type of pasta you use, but you can use a legume-based pasta, as it suggests, to toss these in a pasta dish. And you're going to get a really nice amount of protein, again, for not a lot of calories and not a lot of added fat or carbohydrates. And even part of that, the 9 carbohydrates, 3 grams of that is fiber. So I think overall, this is a really, really good lean plant protein, or as they call it, plant meat option, because it really does check off the boxes. Again, the only concern here is the sodium, which I would guess is coming from that soy sauce that is a part of the ingredients. Soy sauce just tends to be high in sodium unless you get a low sodium variety of soy sauce. So it's not horrible, but you just want to be, again, mindful of it if sodium is a concern for you for any reason. But overall, I would say that no evil foods in general. They do have some other products, but this particular one, this Italian Stallion, I'm not doing the accent. Italian Stallion. Okay, I did it. Okay. The Italian Stallion sausage is a really great one. I like to slice this up, and I will sometimes put it into a spaghetti. I will put it on top of like a flatbread pizza, or I will just chop it up with some roasted veggies and just mix it in. So that way I have like a nice big bowl full of veggies and protein. And I may add some rice or some cauliflower rice, depending on what season I'm in. If I'm in a lighten up phase, it'll probably be hearts of palm or cauliflower rice. If I'm in a more of a build phase, then yeah, it'll probably just be some brown rice or white rice, especially for like pre-show. But anyway, that's it for the No Evil Foods Italian Stallion sausage. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Food Label Fridays. If you want me to review a plant protein or any other food that you want me to break down the food label for you, please put it in the comments. I do have been appreciating you guys who've been commenting and also appreciating my silly jokes. Hopefully that doesn't get too cringy. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys. So please keep commenting. Feel free to suggest any foods and share with a friend. Share with a friend who's looking for more plant protein sources or just wants to know, is this stuff really healthy and what is it that I can really eat that's not hugely processed or ultra processed, I guess is a better way to say it. But there's still things you can buy in the store that are convenient that'll help you meet your nutrition and health goals. So that is it for this edition of Food Label Fridays. I hope to see you guys next week and enjoy some No Evil Italian sausage this weekend. See you guys later.